I don't know how many of you are familiar with what's called a wet room. This is a wet room. Wet rooms are popular in Asian countries mostly, and it's starting to pick up. I have heard about wet rooms before. I've seen some pictures online about what they represent, but basically it's an all-inclusive bathroom. So everything that you see from the sink to the toilet to the shower, all that stuff is encompassed into one room, which is encapsulated, and in this case it's by glass doors. This is Dominican Republic. I've been here before but haven't encountered a wet room like this until this time, and that's what this is. So basically you have this big glass door, and the whole thing is tiled so that it becomes waterproof, I guess, lack of a better term. The whole thing is waterproof because all your steam and all your, coming out of the shower, if the toilet overflows, if your sink overflows, it doesn't matter because everything's tiled from, literally floor to ceiling all the way around, and including the shower, and this is just wonderful. This actually kind of looks like wallpaper a little bit, but it's not. This is a large format 12 by 24 tile, as is this. This is a great idea. I don't know why it's not received more traction. Hopefully maybe one day I'll get to build one of these. But as you can see, everything, literally there's tile on the ceiling too. So the only tile there's not is this wall right here. I don't know why they just skipped that, but regardless, it is a very, very good idea. There's not even a shower door. There's a little glass panel to separate where the toilet's at from the shower. And then instead of a large format tile, as I had been in the Dominican Republic before at a hotel, they used the 12 by 24. There was only 4 of them in this elongated shower, and they had a lineal drain at the back, which is a great idea. There's no point to have this smaller, actually 3 by 3. That's not 2 by 2 or 4 by 4. So what they could have done is they could have used, either this 16 by 16 tile or the large format tile and a lineal drain instead of what they did here. So that's the only real critique I have with everything else that's in here, to not have used that tile. It's kind of a shame, but I do like the idea. I absolutely love the idea. There's a very slight, I don't know if you can see it from the other side, I think there's probably a 3/4 inch or so drop into the shower so that any water would just eventually drop into the shower. And then pretty profound slope going down to the drain. There's also an outside drain. It's said that when you do a curbless shower, just in case you have a backup of the shower drain, you should have a secondary drain, and they put one here. And of course, next to the toilet in case that overflows, which is a good idea also. And so the tile is, in fact, the whole floor is slightly sloped toward the back as well as in the shower. And there's a slight drop from the main room, which is also tile, into the bathroom. Very slight drop, so that any water potentially that gets over here would still want to go in this direction. It's actually a great idea. I like this sink too, but for the last couple days I've been trying to figure out how the heck they plumbed it in. The only way that I could tell, in the very back here, I know there's a P-trap, but it's a flexible P-trap of some sort, and it looks like they just glued it straight in, like when everything was set up with the P-trap and everything, and they knew it would line up. They had some glue on there, and we were able to put the end here into the drain and make it happen. But then it begets the question, if there was a problem and had to take it out, how would it be possible to do that? Because I'm not seeing that here. And you're definitely not going to feel anything. I feel flexible drain down to the bottom of the opening. There's nowhere that you can disconnect. So that's kind of odd. But I do like the sink. And it's a low flow toilet, so it's got the buttons 1, 2 on there on the top. The shower fixture is handheld, which is ironic. The last job I did was exactly one of these, slider. They used kind of a bathtub type configuration. As you can tell on a normal bathtub, this is your pop-up. Your pop-up would be your diverter for all intents and purposes. So yes, this still functions as a bathtub spout. Why they use it, I don't know, unless they don't have a normal type of shower valve here. In which case, if you had a normal type of shower valve, you would have to put the nipple that comes out in the wall, and then this hose would attach to that nipple on the wall. So rather than do that, this apparently comes with a male thread at the end, which makes it possible to put the hose on. It's very possible that's why they did this. I don't know that this is normal here. I'm assuming that it is, but you know, it works. So you could have this flowing full speed if you wanted to, for whatever reason, I don't know. When you pull up on it, it becomes a shower head. And the slider bar is a little low for a normal person like me. It's perfect, but if you had somebody taller, then they probably should have put it up higher. This is basically a ceramic tile. I know I'm jumping around a lot. Basically a ceramic tile. I think this is also ceramic as opposed to porcelain. It's a nice looking tile. I like it a lot. The only thing, and I've noticed the last couple of days, where they didn't put any type of schluter or something at the end. They just had the tile come up, another tile overlap, and then they did the grouting in between. And I recently saw a video on LANDBERG tile and home repair. I think that's his channel, just LANDBURG. If you look at his channel, he has a video where he shows how to do a 45 on both of these tile so that they come together, and you know, it's almost flawless. That would be a better way if you're not going to use a transitional strip like a schluter or a bullnose or something like that. That would be an optimal way, which they could have done here. He did a very good video on how to make that happen with those two 45s meeting each other. And that's it. It's not so much a critique, it's just ideas that I can throw out there if you're going to do any type of tile like this, including this, which I get requests for all the time, doing a lineal drain with the large format tile. Would have been a great idea. But this is a wet room. And as I said, I'm dying to do things that are different, and I haven't done a wet room yet, so it would be really cool to do wall-to-wall tile with everything encompassed in one room. Just don't know how this would work. I guess you would have to have just a normal type of wall. I doubt people are going to spend the money for all this glass, but a normal type of wall here, and then maybe a glass door like they have here. This is a very sturdy, like a door you would expect, you know, at a grocery store or something. It's a very sturdy door. So this gets kind of pricey for all the glass, but it's still doable. It's still possible to make this happen without all that expense. I like it a lot, and I thought I'd share that with you. Just a little bonus video. As you know, when I do videos out of the country, like in Jamaica, I always show how other tilers do things, and I thought this is very cool. First of all, I like the pool deck area. These rocks, you know, with the grout in between them, and you can see some of the rocks were cut, you know, like from larger stones that through the centuries, you know, have fossilized with things in them, and that's very cool. But more to the point, the pool shower, oh my god, this is so cool. The way they did it with the little, everything symmetrical, which I always like. I always appreciate that. Even though this is a slight slope, they put the little sliver cuts down in the tile, and they were really on point with this shower. It's got the little rainforest head popping out of there with the one shower valve. Obviously not hot and cold, but just water. But an outdoor shower should look pretty, and this is definitely looking pretty. I like this. I like it a lot, in fact. I mean, I know there's nothing to it, it's just a shower, but every time I go somewhere, I'm always focused on other people's tile, and I just thought I'd show it off for you. This is some tile guys here in Dominican Republic setting tile. The thing that's kind of struck me, this is still wet concrete. It looks like it was poured
probably this morning. Right now it's about 1:30 in the afternoon, and I imagine it was poured this morning. It's still wet, and I just saw the guy lay out the tile, like literally figure out where he's going to start, but he did it by hand. He just set a tile next to the next and next to the next and next one without spacers or anything, kind of eyeballing it. And here's the guy mixing the thin set, which he's going to do on that piece of plywood. Actually, I don't even think that's thin set. I think all that is cement without the rocks and the sand, which is basically what thin set is anyway. But they'll probably put some sand in it, mix it together, and they're going to set this tile right on top of this wet concrete. And it's fairly level. It's not bad. A lot better than what they do in Jamaica. It's just a lot of work. It's very labor intensive, and it's out here in the elements too, so it's pretty hot. Like a truck full of tile, ready to go. So, interesting. Might come back a couple hours, see how it's going. Could have shown the tiling process. I watched a guy install them. He's pretty quick. This is not so big of a room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About 8 times 12, something like that. So yeah, it's fascinating. I don't know. I get fascinated, like when I go to Jamaica, on how other people do things. As I told you yesterday, or on the last segment, this was pretty wet concrete. I mean, it was still stiff enough to walk on, but it was just set that morning, and then they just went ahead and tiled right over it. You can see clearly that they did use spacers, looks like 1/8" spacers, whereas in Jamaica I generally see little pieces of twig or whatever, but they're on point. You know, they're even doing the little area in the back. I don't know if you can see it. Kind of the way I used to do it on the side. Cut off a little piece of tile about 3 or 4 inches as a kind of a baseboard, and then taper off the top of it. They got some cement tapering off the top, and they'll probably paint that when they paint the walls. So it's just kind of cool. You know, they used just straight cement. As I watched them do it, I was thinking maybe they're going to mix it with sand, and they didn't. And the next step will be the grouting. I guess they'll do that probably tomorrow. So it's kind of cool. What I find pretty typical in the Caribbean is that people really don't do a lot of edging. I mean, it does happen, but more often than not, especially in outdoor application, they just kind of what they call float out. What do they call it here? I forgot the term they use, but they just kind of float out all the mortar on the side there, kind of edge it off. It just stops. So, always interesting to see other work. On my channel I ruffle feathers because I'm in opposition of a lot of things that are said that must be done or the sky is falling. So one of the things I'm going to mention on this, I'm in Dominican Republic and as well as Jamaica and a lot of Caribbean islands. You're not going to be able to hear me, I'm going to step aside. They're tearing up this floor. And one of the things that I do agree with is, look at that piece ended up way over here. One of the things I do agree with is directional troweling, so that you can get 70, 80, 90% coverage. You're trying to shoot for 100% coverage on your tile. I agree with that. So I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute, and again, all these rules and regulations as a TSNA and all, you know, my haters out there, you know who they are, a couple of them anyway, that if you don't do things a certain way, that there's a catastrophic failure that's going to happen. And I disagree with that. 8 times out of 10, when those guys tell you that there's going to be some type of failure, they're not showing you the failure. I had one guy show me another guy's video of a failure. Not even his failure that he came upon, to show you proof positive that this is what could happen, and that's the operative word, could. Doesn't mean it's going to in every case. Having said that, without further ado, this is a job in Dominican Republic that has been done without directional troweling. You can clearly see that the tile were set right on the mortar, literally, probably with not even back buttering, because if there was back buttering, you would not see the squares on the back of the tile. So they're trying to take up, this is probably, I'm guessing, about 800 square feet of tile. And you can clearly see that none of these pieces are coming up in large pieces. They're coming up in chunks. Some of it is actually stuck to the concrete. You can tell because there's divots over there. And all the pieces are little tiny pieces that this guy is spending a lot of time on. I've walked by here the last 3 days, 4 days. These guys have been trying to take up all this tile for 4 days in this one room. And they're doing it the old-fashioned way, you see, with a chisel and a hammer. This is where tools matter. Like I have that jackhammer type of thing, hammer drill, whatever you want to call it, that I bought. Actually, it's not a hammer drill, but I bought from, where did I get it from? Anyway, I did a video review of that a few months ago, I think. That thing is wonderful. That would have saved a lot of time and elbow grease on trying to get all this tile up. Can you imagine doing all this by hand? Like taking up all this tile by hand without the rules that the TSNA and all these organizations say you must adhere to, or the sky is falling. You see? I don't know how long this building has been here. It looks like for a while. So this tile probably was not probably, I actually came by here 4 days ago and I saw the tile was all pristine. I wish I had shown you the before and after. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is the application is different from what we do, but because it's different doesn't make it worse or better. It is what it is. It works for them. They've been doing this for twice as long as we have. These Caribbean islands are 400 or 500 years old. The United States is only a couple hundred years old. So how is it we're going to tell the rest of the world how to do it correctly? I think it's kind of back-assword to even say that. I'm just putting it out there because because I don't like to stir the hornet's nest. I just get tired. I get tired of hearing a couple of individuals on YouTube talk about how you must do it this way. You must do by TCNA standards, and if you don't do it, you're a hack. If you don't do it this way, if you don't do it my way, it's like a Trump mentality, you know? Only I'm right. Only I'm right. Everybody else is wrong. No, that's not true. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, then subscribe. Hit that button and subscribe. I make nothing off of YouTube, so please be a Patreon member. I'm going to post a link down below to my Patreon account, and you can donate $1, $5, $10, $20 a month. Just pledge that on a monthly basis. That will help me produce more videos and content so that you can watch and learn from my channel. And donate at least $50 if you're going to call. If you're going to call for advice, donate to my PayPal, please. Donate first, and then feel free to call me or email me for advice. Otherwise, business calls only, please.